If you're feeling stress or anxiety on election day today or any other day, you're not alone. In today's video, I'll be sharing simple art activities for anxiety, but let's dive right in and de-stress. I'll be sharing 3 different painting techniques today, 4 ways to doodle in your art journal, and 1 draw your breath meditation practice, all designed specifically to help you de-stress through creativity. So initially here in my art journal, I have wet the page. I am using watercolors. The wet on wet technique allows the paint to flow and give some more organic shapes and lines, which will help when we do the drawing technique later. These are just some different colors I'm showing here for today. I am inspired to use red and blue since today is the US presidential election of 2020, although you can definitely use any colors that you'd like, that you're feeling particularly drawn to or wanting to play with. So after I have the colors down here and am using that line technique of just going up and down, and that's important with the breath meditation that I'll share later, I'm just using a textured paper towel here to blot so I can have some different marks in the paint when it dries. So I'll explain why again here in a moment. First, I want to talk about this draw your breath meditation practice. This is a large part of the practice today as a way to de-stress and give yourself literally some breathing room while things might be really stressful. So essentially, I am beginning on my inhalation, allowing the pen to move up, and as I exhale, allowing the pen to cascade down the page. And I'm essentially tracing the shapes of these watercolor marks that I've made. So it's a nice way to give a creative limitation so we can turn off our brain a bit. It's also a way that we can begin to focus on the breath. So if you've ever tried meditation and you struggle with it, or even if you have a great meditation practice, this is a new way that we can focus on the breath and step into it sometimes a little bit easier by focusing our awareness and visual attention on the page. I encourage you to sync your breath up with these movements as you watch the video. It's a great way for you to get a brief de-stressing practice in. It'll be about 4 minutes total for the entire page here. And you might notice in the center part of the page that the down marks or the exhalation breath are starting to be slower. So I am intentionally slowing down the marks as I exhale. And that's for great reason. We do know that a longer exhalation over a longer inhalation does help to calm our central nervous systems. It's a really simple, effective way to help us de-stress, and especially if you're struggling with anxiety, it's something I really enjoy and a lot of my students find helpful in meditative art classes. This, of course, is not art therapy, but it is a great way you can do sort of a self-art therapy activity to help relax. I want to talk a little bit about the benefits of art and mindfulness as well, especially if you struggle with anxiety or stress. Mindfulness invites us to focus our attention and awareness without judgment. And I love this practice combined with creativity and art, especially because so many of us can have negative internal criticisms or have a strong inner critic. So it's a way that we can offer a bit of space to create freely and to tap into a flow state. So you may have heard that term, being in a flow state. You might have experienced it, especially if you're doing something that you love and possibly that you're good at. If you're just now joining us, today is day 27 in our 30-day Mindful Art Challenge, so you can download a free calendar below if you'd like to follow along with the other prompts. I also have the playlist linked in the description box below. If you'd like to check out any of the other videos, you can always watch each one individually, or if you're like me, you can binge watch all of them on YouTube and get your creative fix. In a moment, I'll be sharing 4 different ways you can make doodles on your drawing as part of this de-stressing art activity. If this video is resonating with you, please like it. And if you're interested in more online art activities or classes to de-stress, you can check that out at mindfulcreativemuse.com, and we will dive right back into the video. So I'm going to share 4 different doodling ideas and prompts for your art journal. Again, doodling is a great way to turn off your brain a bit, have your hand moving on the page, and to de-stress. So I am just scanning the art journal here, noticing any textures or shapes that I'm seeing in the marks I've already made. And there's this really fun speckled pattern from that dry blotting technique that we did earlier. So I'm just embellishing that with the circles. And then now I'm playing with connecting some of the lines together. So there's so many different ways you can play around with making marks and doodles. I do have a Pinterest board to help inspire your mark making. You can definitely check that out in the description box below. So I'll be sharing 4 here. Absolutely, there's no right or wrong way. You can discover and play with any marks that come to mind for you. Here I'm making horizontal marks, connecting the space between the 2 rounder shapes. So this is a fun way to just play around and to be a little bit free, to turn off perhaps other thoughts or stresses or worries from the day. It's also, these practices are a great way to become present in the moment, just noticing the pen as it moves on the page, noticing the texture of the page, noticing our breath as we did that earlier. So it is a really simple way to become present now in this moment, and that can also help with feelings of overwhelm or anxiety. So this last doodle mark here, I felt inspired to connect around the red and the blue. I'm sure largely that's my subconscious wanting to feel more unity or unity within our nation here. And so again, you can play around with making different meaning in the marks. You can also write words here in the journal. That can be interesting and fun to play around with. My hope is you feel a little less stressed after that art activity, whether you're watching this on Election Day 2020 or some other time when you're feeling stressed. If you'd like to dive into more of our videos, you can check out one of these below or come back for our 30-day art challenge.